Chapter 32. The Final Conspiracy. I was scared to touch them. My mouth went dry. Finally, I mustered courage and pulled them out. Yes, they definitely were those very pages that had haunted me and caused me enough distress for a lifetime. It was a thick bunch. I unfolded them to read. Kyra's beautiful handwriting made me skip a beat. I started reading. Returned from Raipur today with the inevitable burden. Can't seem to hold it just to myself. I can't carry on like this. There has to be a solution. I have a fair mind to tell Manav. I'm sure he will understand. It will hurt him for sure, but I can't help it. It's getting more and more unbearable by the day. He will anyways come to know about it sooner than later. I am at total loss what to do. If destiny has decided upon separating us, who am I to confront or deny? All I can do is to comply. My fears were confirmed. She was definitely drawn to someone. I felt like 1,000 knives piercing my chest on all sides. For a second, I decided not to continue. Why to embrace more hurt than what I did already? I folded the bunch back. But a while later, I reopened. It was, after all, Kyra. How can her thoughts and feelings deter my love for her? I resumed. I never imagined my wedding to be so short lived. But what has to be, has to be. I'll have to do something soon. I'll have to plan something before things go out of hand. I can't hide it any longer. He says I should tell Manav. But I can't gather enough courage. He loves me so much. How can I just go and tell him flatly? He'll be shattered, she wrote. How right she was. I would be shattered. He says, so she did have someone she trusted more than me. So was she planning to end our relationship, leave me to go with him? I staggered. That was it then. Kyra was conniving to end our world of love. It was just not possible. I regretted having come here. I regretted trying to go after the truth. I regretted everything. Now I had been pulled into the dark lull of sorrow, despair, deception, and loveless existence for a lifetime. My heart cried out it wasn't true. How foolish is the functioning of heart. I felt outraged at myself. Had I loved her enough, I would not have to endure all this. God had gifted me Kyra, but I had failed to sustain her in my life. I took her and our love for granted. I might have forgotten that even love needs to be pampered and nurtured with care. That is why most love stories end in tragedy, I convinced myself. Or rather, only those love stories become known that are unfulfilled. The partners are left craving for each other forever. Was it the rule that after culmination, love stories become ordinary and lackluster? Should it always be the dictum? Can we not work on our relationships and love while we are gifted with our partners so that they become deep rooted and permanent? Is there nothing like, and they lived happily ever after? Why do we only learn after the stage of no return? But there was no point lamenting now. I had lost my chance. I had lost my Kyra in every way. I would have stopped reading altogether now. I even tried to get up. But the curiosity to know who this rival was made me go on. This person who replaced me so easily in Kyra's heart, I had to know who he was. I had moved to get up and made the files and folders fall to the floor in the process. A large envelope was jutting out. I pulled it thoughtlessly. What had caught my eye was the fact that the name on it had been scratched. I looked closely. Despite the fact that dark and deep strokes of pen had been made, the name could be deciphered still. Kyra. What I retrieved from inside made my head spin. It was an MRI report from Raj Bhaiya's hospital. I was gobsmacked. What was this now? I took out the contents that threatened to fall off my loose grip of vigorously trembling hands, my ears and face flushed in anxiety. I singled out the report and my eyes directed themselves to the column of impression. What was in there snatched the level ground from under my feet. The patient had glioblastoma multiforme. Glioblastoma multiforme? High grade, grade 4, malignant tumor of the brain? Survival not more than 11 to 15 months? I rechecked the scratched name label of the envelope. I also checked the name of the patient on the report. That too had been deliberately scratched. Still, the name was evident, but I didn't want to believe. It could not be Kyra. It just could not be. These tumors never occurred in young patients. If at all, then very rarely. Kyra was in no way liable to get it. Or was she? I remembered the frequent headaches and giddiness that she had complained of lately. I had very conveniently attributed it all to her physical and mental fatigue. All this was mind boggling. Quest of the man's identity took the back seat. This dreadful combustible report had to be addressed first, and the answer sourced back to the only one person, Raj Bhaiya. It was nearly midnight, but I hadn't the patience to wait even a second, let alone till morning. I went to Bhaiya's room and knocked as calmly as I could, requesting him to come to my room, Kaira's room, immediately. A sleepy Raj Bhaiya entered. His eyes opened wide as he saw the report in my hand. He blurted, "Where did you find this?" He rushed towards me and snatched it from my hands. A little hope that had remained till then vanished. Blood drained from my body. I stammered, "So it's true, Bhaiya, isn't it?" I was still hoping against hope that he would say, "No, none of this is. It isn't Kaira's report." But it was not to be. I wasn't spared after all. I slumped on the bed. Bhaiya sat in the chair with the report. Neither of us spoke for a long time. Maybe it was the fear of unpleasantness coming out in the open that we hated to endure. Unfortunately, it could only be postponed, not prevented. It was thus better to get it over with than to prolong the torture. At least Bhaiya thought so. He told, "It started when Kaira came for my anniversary without you. If only you had accompanied her then, Manav, much of this could be prevented." He carried on. She casually complained of the headaches, giddiness, and nausea that she had been experiencing lately when I suggested her to get a CT done. It was more a fun suggestion between siblings than anything serious at first. But incidentally, the headache did not resolve even after a whole day of rest. Then she said jokingly, "It would be a good idea to test the new machine I had in my hospital." I couldn't believe what my eyes saw in the monitor sitting in the console and viewing the images real time. I confirmed and reconfirmed, changing the dimensions too, but every time it eyed me squarely from the right frontal lobe. We reconfirmed on MRI. I asked her to stay back so that we could contemplate getting a tissue biopsy done, but for this she flatly refused. "I was about to call you, Manav, and even ask you to come here, but Kaira wouldn't let me. She said she would do it face to face. It wouldn't be right to give you half the information and get you running here in panic." I realized much later she hadn't told you anything. She did agree to come for onco consultation though. We mulled over all the possible options how to go about. Papa and Mama were devastated. They wanted her not to go back at all. Vidisha was a place of minimal facilities as far as management of such a condition was concerned. But that couldn't be possible before you were taken in confidence. And Kaira was hell-bent not to let that happen. So finally they left all the decisions to me. I was more concerned with acting fast. The only thing that wasn't with us was time. I wanted to take her to Mumbai. She agreed to postpone her return, but I do not know what came over her, and she returned after 2 days. Her symptoms were getting pronounced now. I was scared. I lined up the whole management plan, only waiting for her to come. The only mistake on my side was that I didn't call you. I was too engrossed in the treatment to take this as my priority. I was waiting for her to come to Raipur, hopefully with you this time, ready with all the preparations when I got the news. I was sobbing. She suffered so much alone. The condition as such, its horrible symptoms, the realization, and above all, me. Kyra used to tell me everything. Then how did she refrain from telling so much, living with me under the same roof? Was there someone else in it, orchestrating her decisions? I tried to ask Bhaiya, was there someone else who knew about this or whom she could have taken into confidence? Please don't get me wrong. Actually, it's very unlikely she would have kept such a grave condition from letting me know, and on her own. Bhaiya frowned. No, Manav, none that I know of. He got up, tapped my shoulder, and left, saying, try to get some rest. You have been overstraining yourself. I sat there unmoving. Rest was something I would never get. Suddenly, I remembered the pages. In all this shock, I had completely forgotten those pages of the diary. Yes, they would have the answers. I rummaged through the clutter and found them lying innocently on bed. I resumed reading in a hurry. The familiar handwriting again filled me with an urge to cry. What was it that she feared would shatter me? Her health condition or her newfound relationship? What was she planning? Something that she was conspiring in secrecy? She just couldn't do it without the support of someone, a person whom she trusted and loved. And that wasn't me. Where was she headed on that fateful day? Was it a meeting or was she planning to elope? No, that couldn't be. There was no luggage found in the car. Then how would she explain her absence here? Or did she not care? Was the conspiracy on the brink of finalization, ready to be executed? No, Kyra, I wasn't just shattered, I was torn apart. But still, I had to know. I had to know everything. I read on. It said, he has asked me to come next week. I'm not sure now Manav would allow me. He already is suspicious, I guess, but I will have to try to convince him. All I want is to live the moments in love as much as I can. Was it because of this that she refused to go on holiday with me? I wondered. So that she didn't have to stay away from her newfound love? Newfound? Was it really? Or was it an old crush surfacing now? Or has been there all the time? I was burning in hell with all these questions. I turned the page. She wrote, I can't hide the symptoms for long now. They are taking a toll on me. Every morning is a torture. Head bursts, and I feel like puking almost all the time. Can't speak long sentences. Get disoriented and confused off and on. Next page. It was addressed to me. Dear Mana, I feel the same that I felt then. You lying in the ICU in front of me. You wouldn't speak, you wouldn't laugh. No sign of your life sustaining smile. Oh, what a sense of utter loss I felt. And then you opened your eyes and looked at me. I felt the whole world returning to me with open arms. My life had come back to me. There was no looking back after that. Manav, you said you loved me. If I had ever thought even for a moment that it was a temporary infatuation you felt for me, I was so wrong. You did love me with all your heart. Every morning I thanked God for this glorious blessing. having been gifted true love that in turn I reciprocated. Loving you strengthened me in every way, as also physically and emotionally. When someone loves and cares for you, you start seeing yourself from their eyes. You start respecting and believing in your own self because they do. When self confidence increases, you work towards your goals positively and efficiently. You, Manav, brought about this change in me. I was basking in this paradise, unassuming and carefree. I reciprocated not just your love but also the strength of personality and purpose that you inculcated in me. Your dreams and ambitions were my own now. I would never let you down. You will never regret loving me. Our hospital is taking shape beautifully. But you work too hard and out of hours. You are selfless and dedicated. It's a blessing that your passion is your profession. I'm so proud and so privileged you selected me to share your life with. I lived in pure bliss. Hardly did I know destiny had very different plans for me. Again, I feel the same sense of loss. Again, I find myself deep down the pit of helplessness. I can bear all this brunt, but in no way can I see you suffer. I'm completely at loss what to do. If I tell you, it will be torturous, seeing you in this condition. If I don't, for one, it can't be hidden too long. Secondly, I'm unable to endure this tension. Oh, Manav, I need you so much. Next page. Dear Manav, today you asked me to accompany you for the conference. Nothing could have made me happier than this wonderful prospect. But I had to refuse. It's a relief you are so busy you are unable to notice how these symptoms of mine are magnifying. They are becoming evident more and more. Sooner than later, you will know. If we go for a holiday, just the two of us, within no time you will sense it all. I have to keep myself aloof from the only person I want to be near, from you. I have no other choice. Next page. Dear Manav, thanks darling for giving me permission. I am sitting in my own room at home in Raipur. Today we consulted the oncologist here. Bhaiya told me the whole management plan. I am scared, Manav. I need you so badly. Mode of my own death was never something I envisaged, never even gave a second thought to. If someone asks me, this would definitely be the time most appropriate to take a leave from this world. Of course, I would have wanted to bear you, cute and smart children like yourself. But if that's not what fate has decided for me, then so be it. It's better than dying as a vegetative, crippled old woman, praying for my own demise to ease the troubles of myself and my loved ones. Unfortunately, this is exactly what destiny has chosen for me, a crippling death. No, I shall not take it lying down. I have to spare you come what may. How, I know not now. If only I could just vanish from the face of the earth just like that. Bhaiya is again forcing me to tell you all. He has been pestering me for this so much. I understand his dilemma, but I can't. I can't bring myself to bother you. I realize now I cannot do anything. You will know it soon now. But I can't see you suffer on my account at any cost. I have to do something. This finite body will have to be rid of life as suddenly as possible before it gets worthless and a burden. There has to be some way. I pray to God in all sincerity to show me a way forward towards sudden, unburdened death. Darling, I know I can't free you completely of this unpleasantness, but I promise it will be the least possible. For this huge task, I have to conspire against my own Manav, but there's no other way. I tore these last pages of my diary to destroy them, but again, I couldn't. This was the sacred conversation between me and my Manav. How can I blight them in any way? I shall leave them here in this cupboard. It has been my closest confidante and never failed me. I implore you, Manav, don't let my death pull you down in any way. All my efforts will go in vain if this incident disturbs you and affects you negatively. You have a larger purpose set for yourself. God has equipped you to heal, to allay suffering, and that's what He and your own Kaira expect from you. As for this unpleasant pause, it's impossible to even imagine Kaira separate from Manav. Feel me, my presence in you, emanating power and energy, helping you through all your goals in life. Forgive me for conspiring against you. Do not feel bad, do not feel sad. This is not the end, this is but the beginning of a life. Free of the limitations, free of the foundations that this perishable body puts me in. Perish it may if it pleases. Cherish I will the bliss it unleashes. Do not ever think you lost me because you will never. I shall be your Kyra as I am now, forever. May my absence make you stronger than in my life that I did, because this is just virtual. Real will always be as we bid. Love you I did, Manav, with all my soul. Love you I do with all my being. Love you I shall with all my heart, even if death do us part. I wept for a long time, non-stop. There had been no one else but me, always. She had designed and orchestrated her own death. She deliberately hit that monstrous lorry. My delicate Kyra, what a huge amount of dare and resolve would it have taken for her to do thus? And all to save me from trouble of taking care of her? You didn't have faith in your Manav, Kyra, I wailed. That night was the longest ever.